Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yes, it is my favourite time of the show again. It's time for our story. But today's story is set on the Yorkshire moors. A wild and windswept place. A place of deep heather and bracken that in the winter is coarse and scratches at your legs. But in summer, that same heather is purple and beautiful. That same bracken is green and lush. Well, this story is set in a time when thatch covered roofs. In a time when light was by oil lamp and candle alone. A time when wind whipped high up on those moorlands and rain lashed down, but only on the worst of days. Other days the sun beat down radiant and strong and warmed all bodies all around. In this time and in this place there was a woman. She lived in a small village in those Yorkshire moors. She wanted adventure. She wanted adventure more than she wanted anything else, for she had lived her whole life in that same village. And so one day she took her knapsack and she unfolded it on the floor. She considered all of her life's possessions and she chose the barest few. The few that she knew she just couldn't live without, because she was going on an adventure. She was going to set out into the wide, wide world and discover things that she had never seen before. She would roam the countryside thereabouts, and there was a lot of countryside, because those Yorkshire moors were so big and so expansive. Her dearest things she put into that knapsack. And carefully she folded the fabric one on top of the other and tied it in a tight, tight knot. There had been a staff laid up in the corner of her cottage for so many years now. She took it and laid it on that knapsack and tied the bundle firmly to it so that she wouldn't lose a single thing. And when she was on her travels, she could take out those precious possessions and look at them one by one and be reminded of where she came from. But right now, that young woman sought adventure. As night fell, the woman had been walking for so long now, so long that her feet hurt. She could feel the blisters, and her knapsack, small as it was, felt heavy on her back. She crossed the precipice of a moor, and down on the other side she could see a deep, deep valley. And in that valley there was a village, not unlike the one that she had left. But this village was shrouded in mists. Deep and cloying mists, like phantasms in the air, the like of which she had never seen before. She peered through those wisping shapes, casting shadows on the floor behind her, like things she had never witnessed in her life. A shiver ran down her spine. There, walking through the village, was a dog, massive and fierce-looking, with an ethereal glow that, try as she might, the woman could never fathom, whether it be from moonlight or from the oil lamps in the windows of the houses all about. As she watched, chilled to the bone now, unable to tear her eyes away from that ethereal hound, it padded to a house and stepped through the door, although the door itself remained closed. Moments later, it reappeared. A man at its side, a man bathed in cool blue light. They walked to the street's end and disappeared into a wisp of nothingness. Rage gripped the woman's soul. Had this dog taken the man's life, taken him down to the depths of hell below? She felt as much. And angry as she was, she just couldn't let this thought go. The moon set and the sun rose the next morning, and the woman woke. Although sun was little to be had that day. The mist still clung heavy in the air, and as she looked down to the village below, she could see the wailing of women and children outside that house. The relatives of the man who had been taken, and she resolved that she would get to the bottom of the goings-on therein. As the evening came once more, she saw padding down that street that ethereal hound, dark and strong, fierce. Once more it went into a house, although the door be still barred, and she began to run. She ran as fast as she could, down the hill and into that valley. The woman raced down the side of the valley, her heart beating in her chest and fury gripping her soul. She was so angry. She tore into the street and skidded to a halt in front of that great ephemeral dog, and she yelled at the top of her lungs.
"Let that child go!"
But it was too late. The boy vanished into a cloud of nothingness, like steam leaving a pan. The great dark dog looked up into her eyes, and she was more angry than anger could be. She reached out and struck the hound, and he retaliated as though through instinct alone. But the woman was equal to the dog's onslaught, and she easily overpowered it.
Where do you take those people? Why do you do this?
It's my purpose. It's my lot in life. Don't you see? I am the dog of Barghest. I am the dog of the graveyard. I am the dog of the dead. Ages ago, in aeons past, the people would bury a dog such as myself in a gravesite. The first to be buried in a gravesite cannot go to the afterlife themselves, and so are condemned to guide those other lost souls to where they belong. They would not bury a human and condemn them to this. So they bury a dog like me, and it is my lot in my afterlife to act in this way, to take those who have departed so sadly and be their companion on their journey through the mists of Anwin, of the other world. The adventuresome woman was overwrought by her misunderstanding. She had completely misconstrued what this great dog was doing. She couldn't bear it. She vowed that night that she would no longer allow the dog to walk this journey on its own. She would take that adventure with it. The ultimate adventure. In the morning, when the moon had set and the sun rose, the villagers came out, distraught at another death in the village. They saw footprints in the mud of the road. One set a great dog, the other set an adventuresome woman, now a companion for life.